Welcome everyone. Today we're going to go on a little Sufi love journey, Sufi poetry, mystical poetry of Rumi, Hafiz, Sinai. These incredible beings lived in the 13th and the 12th century. And they brought forth this incredible body of mystical literature. But first things first, I'm just going to relax brain, come into presence, nice deep breath, just allowing life to just flow naturally through you, effortlessly. Namaste, everyone. Delicious oxygen coming in. Just feeling that peace, that's our true nature. Inhaling. At this crazy time, we want to work the back seam. We want to work the other screen, right? The screen of peace that's pulling against this crazy external situation going on. So in good Chinese medicine fashion, we're doing the opposite of the chaos, which is to go deeper into the love, deeper into the beauty, deeper into the peace. Relaxing shoulders and neck. Relaxing brain. Coming to the midline, down the middle. Just feeling the gravity of love tugging on you. The Earth Mother loving you. Just going into the field of love, unconditional, beautiful love. Just feel it circulating through your body, circulating through your heart. Today we're going on a little Rumi journey and some of the other poets that lived in that era. Their words are like nectar. Their words speak of that inexpressible. And that was their goal, right? To use piercing and artful muting of the dialogue, right? So that your mind could come to peace, the mind could become quiet, and then this incredible inner experience can unfold. Very different from the orthodox way of understanding things. The Sufi is understood as a rogue, kind of a madman, a God ecstatic person. So each of us has that inner Sufi in us, that wondrous, ecstatic being. Just hiding under our pain, hiding under our daily routine. So today, let's see if we can get a little closer to that place that exists. This beautiful ocean of peace. So first things first, we'll just take 30 seconds, just beautiful stillness. Breathing through your nose. Deep breath. Feel that state shift begin to occur as we step into that inner movie theater, cooling down the brain. Beautiful peace. Sufis are very into breath. Rumi says there's a way of breathing that's a shame and a separation. And there's another way of expiring, a love breath that lets you open infinitely. There's a strange frenzy in my head of birds flying, each particle circulating on its own. Is the one I love everywhere? This is how I would die, into the love I have for you, as pieces of cloud dissolve in sunlight. So the oxygen comes in, it can come in the right nostril. If you're looking at the Facebook cam, it's going to show up as the left, but we breathe into the right. It takes the energy up into your third eye, to the mystical insight center, further up into the crown, and then circulates back down into the heart. Just notice the circulation of the breath, breathing life into this mortal coil. It's a beautiful breath. Love is for vanishing into the sky, says Rumi. Just feel that expanding feeling of the pure I am, of your inner dervish. As these saints say, melt yourself down in this search. Venture your life and your soul in the path of sincerity. Strive to pass from nothingness to being, and make yourself drunk with the wine of God. Well, if we understand the ancient Sufis correctly, they work with the symbol of the tavern, which was the heart, and these drunkards on God are wandering around in the heart. And the nightingale is the seeker, and the rose is the beloved. Right? So these are the different images that they use in order to disguise what they're really talking about to the orthodoxy. They'll speak about worldly love, but they're really talking about divine love. So these Sufis, they want to get drunk on the divine. They want to imbibe this elixir, right? The fragrance of the deep self, the fragrance of the deepest reality. And that's what essentially makes the Sufi different than the average seeker, right? The Sufi is completely intoxicated by the absolute. So let's breathe, and we're going to try to do the same today. So I'll turn this down a little. Remembering the first Omar Khayyam poem I ever tried to memorize. I think I have a few verses in my mind. It says, "We are no more than a moving row of magic shadow shapes that come and go, round with the sun-illumined lantern held at midnight by the master of the show. Helpless pieces of the game he plays, us upon this checkerboard of nights and days." Omar Khayyam, one of the first of these poets, came from Iran. He's considered one of the great mathematicians of his time. A lot of these poet saints came from places like Afghanistan, Iran. Rumi himself wound up in Konya in Italy, which at the time was a crossroads of spirituality. And the story of Rumi is great. He's at the age of 37, had achieved a certain status in his community, and he had his disciples, and he loved poetry and beautiful things, and was a great theologian. And he's walking through the marketplace one day on his donkey with his assembly of people, and so out of a portico comes this madman Shams, who grabs his donkey's reins and says to Rumi, "Who is greater, Muhammad or Bestami?" And at the time, Bestami was the great Sufi ecstatic, right? Because in the Quran, there's a verse. It's sort of like when Jesus says, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." He's talking about an inner journey. The Quran, the quote is, "I was a hidden treasure and I desired to be known, so that I made the creature that I might be known. And so these Sufis are taking this kind of as a mystical proclamation. There was a great sage, Al-Haq, or Al-Halaj, who he would cry out, Al-Haq, which means I am the truth. And of course, they executed him in no time and threw his body parts in the river, but all his body parts started to sing Al-Haq, according to the legend. So it's hard to dispose of these Sufis, right? They're quite mystical beings. So Omar Khayyam, in his mathematical way, says, 1 cup of wine is worth 100 hearts and religions. 1 sip worth the realm of China. Apart from ruby wine, on the earth's expanse, no other bitter thing exists worth thousands of sweet souls. Bring that ruby in a plain glass, and bring my boon companion and friend of the free. Since you know that the days of this world are dust, are a wind which quickly passes. Fetch the wine. All right, so these guys are wandering about the tavern of their heart, drunk on this inner ecstasy. So we're just going to drop inside, just kind of check in with that. Check in with this inner ecstasy. Sound, are you getting the sound? Somebody's saying sound. There should be sound. If there's no sound, let me know. So I'm going to play a little sitar and work with some of this Rumi poetry. Make it come alive. Keep knocking and the joy inside will eventually open a window. Look out to see who's there. In the early morning hour, just before the dawn, lover and beloved awake. Take a drink of water. She asks, do you love me or yourself more? Really, tell me, what is the absolute truth? Says there's nothing left of me. I'm like a ruby held up in the sunrise. Is it still a stone or a world made of redness? Great teacher went from door to door with a lamp. He was not to be found as the one I'm looking for. Beyond wanting, beyond space, inside of form, that one, the flute says. I have no way of knowing that. But love plays and is the music played. And if this music is played, let that musician finish this poem. Shams, I'm a water bird flying into the sun. This is how you change. When you go to the orchard, the heart opens. You become fragrance and the light that burning oil gives off. A new road appears without desire. Imagining inside God's breath, empty where you quit saying the name and there's no distance. Bend like the limb of a peach tree. Tend those who need help. You sit here for days saying this is strange business. You are the strange business. You have the energy of the sun in you, but you keep knotting it inside at the base of your spine. There's some kind of gold that wants to stay melted in the furnace. You won't have to become coins. In complete control, pretending control with dignified authority. We are charlatans. Or maybe just a goat hair brush in a painter's hand. We have no idea what we are, says Rumi. This drunkenness began in some other tavern. When I get back home, when I get back around to that place, I'll be completely sober. Meanwhile, I'm like a bird from another continent, sitting in this aviary. The way the day is coming when it just flies off. Don't look for evidence of some other world. You are the soul and the medicine of what wounds the soul. It's like the old rule that drunks have to argue and get into fights. A lover is just as bad. He falls into a hole, Down in that hole he finds something shining, worth more than anything, any money or power. Late night, last night, the moon came dripping. The moon came dropping her clothes in the street. I took it as a sign to start singing. Falling up into the bowl of the sky, the bowl breaks. Everywhere is falling everywhere. Nothing else to do. Here's the new rule. Break the wine glass and fall towards the glass blower's breath. Essence is emptiness. Everything else, accidental. Emptiness brings peace to loving. Everything else, disease. In the world of trickery, emptiness is what your soul wants. This moment, the mail arrived. The love comes to rest in me. Many beings in one being. In one wheat grain, 1,000 sheaf stacks. Inside the needle's eye, a turning night of stars. Out beyond ideas of right and wrong, wrongdoing, right doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about anything, ideas, language. Nothing makes any sense. I do not know who lives here in my chest, or why the smile comes. I'm not myself, more the bare green knob of a rose that lost every leaf and petal to the morning wind. Gone inner and outer, no moon, no ground or sky. Don't hand me another glass of wine. poured into my mouth. I've lost the way to my mouth. There's another famous saint named Amir Khusro, whose teacher was Nizamuddin. And Nizamuddin had evidently given or sold his sandals to a merchant. And in India, the sandals of the teacher are hugely powerful, right? They contain the vibration of the saint. And evidently, if you touch the sandals, you get the Shakti. So sandals, very important. And so Amir Khusro ran into this merchant one day and traded 3 camels of gold for those sandals. And when he met up with Nizamuddin, Nizamuddin said, "Where did you get those sandals?" And Amir Khusro said, "Oh, I bought them from a merchant." "Oh, how much did you pay?" "Well, 3 camels of gold and jewels." "Oh, you got them cheap." Well, the love of those two was so great, evidently, that just before Nizamuddin died, he sent Amir Khusro far, far away and died the next day. And back in the day, the mail systems are, by camel. And so I guess it was about a year later, Amir Khusro heard about the death of Nizamuddin and came running home and collapsed and died on the steps of the mausoleum. So great was his love. Now he's buried next to him. Some friends are inseparable. So the friend is the term that Rumi uses to refer to the divine visitation that could come through the mad fakir, sort of the mad wanderer. Well, part of the Rumi story that's so interesting is that his disciples did not like this guy Shams of Tabriz, essentially Rumi's guru, and kept running him out of town. And eventually Rumi would send his son Sultan Veled off to bring him back. And one time Sultan Veled went off and found him playing cards with a Westerner in Damascus, evidently. And when the Sultan showed up with his entourage, the Westerner was quite impressed by the fact that this fakir, Shams, was getting such praise and attention that he admitted that he was cheating, and he offered to give Shams the money back. And Shams says, no, you save it for your friends in the West. Well, it turned out that this Westerner was St. Francis of Assisi, or at least in his more wastrel form early on. And so I had never heard that story before. The other story of Shams meeting with Rumi, which is probably incorrect, but it does seem to be out there, that somehow Shams came in and pointed to a stack of books and said, "What's that?" And Rumi said, "It's like, what do you mean, what's that?" And then the books caught fire. And Shams goes, "What's that?" And then Rumi chases after him and becomes his disciple. So these kind of stories, these legends are very common, sort of amazing interactions between cosmic beings. If you look at the literature, the earlier this Renaissance began, like in the 12th century, the earlier writers were basically saying things like, the world is a desert, right? It's like, it's a horrible place. You need to get inside fast, right? There's no joy out there in the eggshell, right? You need to get into the juice. But then as you get more into the 13th century, the poets seem to be bringing in more of a unity and diversity message. So Rumi would celebrate everything. Whatever you're doing is mystical, right? The veil is thin. The divine is just a breath away. The divine is so close you can't see it. Versus, oh, this world is horrible, you have to run away. Even mystical perception evolves, right? When my dad was working in post-Europe in Germany, he was in the army, he would take his vacations and go down to Ethiopia, not Ethiopia, Algeria. And being an Arabist and a scholar of Islam, he would just hang out in the camel oases just to listen to the language, just to listen to the camel drivers do their thing. And I don't know, I must have the same gene. Remember spending time in India doing something similar, hanging out in temples, just listening to them chant in language I didn't understand, but it touched my heart. I'm probably partial to that area as well because I grew up in Yemen and Lebanon in my early childhood, and we would witness all sorts of things, like even an execution once in Yemen, quite by accident, during a public parade. There's a desert law that is very different than ours. My mother received a healing once from a kind of Sufi. You could say he was a wool-wearing, Suf means wool, a wool-wearing shaman in Greece. He was a goat herder who could fix bones and fix your back. So somehow she got treated by this shaman and it worked. Perhaps because the shaman had treated a Westerner, he got into some trouble, evidently, and they dragged him off to court, where he promptly had a lamb brought in where he broke the lamb's bone and then put it back together in front of everyone, and they dismissed the case. So you never know what these Suf, wool-wearing beings are going to be able to do. That's a true story. So we're just breathing in, just letting the mind come to peace. The poetry of the Sufi mystics is there for that purpose. Again, to mute the inner dialogue, to take us to that inexpressible experience beyond words. Basking in the glow of the inexpressible. If you, I, you, she, he, we, in the garden of mystic lovers, these are not true distinctions. You that come to birth and bring the mysteries, your voice thunder makes us very happy. Roar, lion of the heart, and tear me open. Those who don't drink the dawn like a cup of spring water, or take in the sunset like supper. Those who don't want to change, let them sleep, says Rumi. Watching your breath come in, breath going out. Rumi's a lover of paradox. Best wakefulness is in sleep. Wealth in having nothing. A pearl necklace fastened around an iron collar. Fire entrained in boiling water. The traveler arrives to find himself the shrine of his very own pilgrimage. When Rumi's disciples murdered Shams, Shams was more than distraught, and he would go into these spinning ecstasies as he would become absorbed in Shams' consciousness. And his disciples would write down what he would say in these altered states as he would circle around. It became the first whirling dervish, right? The Mevlevi order. It's called Sama, this practice of whirling. And of course, some people try to whirl, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee them this consciousness. But when Rumi whirled, the world whirled. It's like the disciples caught these precious gems that sort of flew out of his mouth in this altered state. He wrote 30,000 verses to his Divani, which is this remembrance of Shams poem. And the Matnavi has 22,000 verses, I believe, so 52,000 verses just coming out of mystical trance. Don't you love it? Revenues flowing from funds flowing out. Giving is gainful employment. It brings in money. Sufis are about being the giver, not the gift. Taking time for ritual and meditation saves time. Sweet fruits hide in the leaves. Dung becomes food for the ground and generative power in trees. Non-existence contains existence. Love encloses beauty. Dark brown flint and gray metal have candlelight in them. Inside fear, safety. In the pupil of the eye, many brilliancies. Inside the body cow, a handsome prince. Sufis believe that you're like a cube of ice that put into a kettle, turn you into steam. Because steam is of the nature of that heat of the divine love. So I just want to sizzle on the griddle. The Sufi is totally satisfied, right? It's defined as the being that's just resting in the divine presence, resting in God. It's like there's nobody home but the friend. Melt yourself down in this search. Venture your life and your soul in the path of sincerity. Strive to pass from nothingness to being, and make yourself drunk with the wine of God. Again, Sinai, one of the original Persian poets. Breathing. Going into the orchard of the heart, the walled garden. Inside the needle's eye, turning night of stars. Being is not what it seems. Non-being is not what it seems. The world's existence is not in this world. Part of you that's watching you be you. Deep breath. So in the Orthodox religion, the Sharia is the Muslim law, which the Orthodoxy follows very strictly. You can't drink wine if you're Muslim, but you can have wine in heaven, evidently. But the Sufis don't want to wait around, right? They're not waiting around for that. They're like, hey, time is short. I'm going to the tavern. These ceremonies are going on too long and time is short. Ah, the Sufis. The nightingale and the rose. Overwhelming nearness blinds the eye. It's what keeps the lover and the beloved separated, is this veil of forgetfulness. So close you don't even realize it. The Sufi Ibn Atta says, only his extreme nearness to you is what veils God from you. And Rumi says, everything is the beloved, and the lover a veil. Living is the beloved, and the lover is dead. Because in the ruins of the heart, only God remains. Sanai says, this world is a desert of shifting sands. Everything is the beloved. The lover is a veil. Living is the beloved, and the lover is dead. In the ruins of the heart, only God remains. So for the next 2 or 3 minutes, we're just going to drop into total stillness and let this wine of poetry tenderize your heart. Good feeling attracts the healing. Breathing through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. Breathing. The Sufi opens his hands to the universe and gives away each instant free. Unlike someone who begs on the street to survive, a dervish begs to give you his life. And so there's like an inner jihad in this regard. All right. Someone said, there's no dervish. Or if there is a dervish, that dervish is not there. Look at the candle flame in a bright noon sunlight. If you put cotton next to it, the cotton will burn, but its light has completely mixed with the sun. The candlelight you cannot find. It's what's left of the dervish. You are the dervish. Sufi trains, come in. Well, I was having some fun last night writing a Sufi poem in response to Sufi poems. So here's the version without the music. Right where you are is the best place by far. Your body is a mystery, a gift of ancient history. Your path a totality, a well-traveled reality. Your truth is so apparent, it's now fully transparent. But arriving back from where you started can feel like you just departed. Time to get this party started. It's a circle of love, this circle game, to arrive back home from whence you came. For time is a wondrous and twisty thing to set before your inner king. For you are the shrine of your very own quest, the gold mine of doing your very own best. It's clear that once you know, there's no reason to come or go, because right where you are is the best place by far. Saved by the Bell. Okay, let me give you the hip-hop version of that. If you're in a deep meditative state and don't want to be disturbed by any fun guitar playing, then maybe this is the time to turn the sound off of the movie, drop in deeper. But I thought you might enjoy this. This is, it's what I do in my spare time sometimes. I think last time I just played those two chords, right? The beatbox. So I thought, well, we'll just do this poem with the two chords and see what happens, right? Give yourself a limitation. It can lead to sort of a whole new explanation. Your body is a mystery, a gift of ancient history. Your path of totality, a well-traveled reality. Your truth is so apparent, and now it's fully transparent. But arriving back from where you started can feel just like you just departed. It's a circle game. It's a circle of love, this circle game. To arrive back home from whence you came. Time is a wondrous and twisted thing to set before your inner king. For you are the shrine of your very own quest, the gold mine of your doing your very own best. Cause it's clear that once you know, there's no reason to come or go. Cause right where you are is the best place by far. Right where you are is the best place by far. Your body is a mystery, a gift of ancient history. Your path to totality, a well-traveled reality. Beatbox. Right where you are is the best place by far. Your body is a mystery, a gift of ancient history. Your path to totality, a well-traveled reality. A circle of love, a circle game, to arrive back home from where you came. Om Namo Shivaya. Thank you everyone for joining. I hope this was a nice mystical journey. Don't forget my YouTube channel to go and subscribe. All of these videos eventually make themselves available there. And there's like 22-hour videos at the moment for your meditation delight. Sudama Mark Kennedy. Just Google YouTube Sudama Mark Kennedy. You got it. Namaste, everyone. Tomorrow, 4:32 Pacific time, we'll continue in the Sufi love mystical poetry vein. Namaste, everyone.